The awakening of the ancients. In a distant future, humanity had spread across the stars, forging alliances with various alien species. Among them was Captain Alara Voss, a skilled pilot and leader aboard the starship Odyssey. The ship was on a mission to explore uncharted territories, seeking new worlds and potential allies. As they ventured deeper into the cosmos, they stumbled upon an ancient derelict vessel drifting in the void. The ship was massive, its hull covered in strange symbols and intricate designs. Alara felt a shiver run down her spine as she commanded her crew to approach cautiously. "Prepare for scanning," she ordered. "We need to find out what this ship is and if it poses any threat." As the crew worked diligently, Alara couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental. The ship's design was unlike anything they had encountered before, hinting at a civilization long gone but not forgotten. She hoped to uncover secrets that could benefit humanity and strengthen their alliances. Discovering the holographic message. After several tense moments, the scanning team reported back. "Captain, we've detected an active power source within the ship," said Lieutenant Marcus, her second-in-command. "It appears to be some sort of control room." "Let's board it," Alara decided. "We need to see what's inside." With safety protocols in place, Alara led her team into the ancient vessel. The air was stale, and shadows danced along the walls as they moved cautiously through dimly lit corridors. Finally, they reached the control room, a vast chamber filled with advanced technology that seemed to hum with energy. At the center of the room stood a holographic projector. With a flick of a switch, Alara activated it. The air shimmered as an image materialized, a tall figure draped in flowing robes, its face obscured by a hood. "Greetings," the hologram began, its voice echoing through the chamber. "I am Elian, a guardian of knowledge from the ancient civilization of Xylaris. If you are seeing this message, it means my people have fallen." Alara exchanged worried glances with her crew. This was not just an artifact, it was a warning. A warning of catastrophe. Elian continued, "We once thrived among the stars, but our arrogance led us to war with those who sought peace. We created weapons beyond imagination, capable of destroying entire worlds. In our quest for power, we lost everything." The crew listened intently as Elian spoke of an impending cosmic threat, an entity that consumed civilizations whole, leaving nothing but emptiness in its wake. "Beware," Elian warned. "This entity is drawn to conflict and chaos. If you wish to survive, unite against it and learn from our mistakes." As the hologram flickered and faded away, silence enveloped the room. Alara felt a heavy weight settle on her shoulders. They had been given a grave responsibility. "Captain," Marcus said quietly, breaking the silence. "What do we do now?" Alara took a deep breath, her mind racing with possibilities. "We must gather our allies and share this information," she replied resolutely. "We can't let history repeat itself." The journey back. With newfound urgency, Alara and her crew returned to the Odyssey. They plotted a course back to their home base, a hub for interstellar diplomacy where various species gathered to discuss alliances and strategies. As they traveled through space, Alara reflected on Elian's words. Humanity had faced many challenges before, but this felt different, more significant than anything they had encountered. "Prepare for communication with our allies," she instructed Marcus as they neared their destination. Within moments, their screens lit up with images of various leaders from different species, each one representing unique cultures and strengths. Captain Voss greeted Zarathul, an alien diplomat from Xylar who had become one of humanity's closest allies. "What news do you bring?" "We've discovered an ancient warning about an impending threat," Alara began, her voice steady but urgent. "We need your help to unite our forces against it." Rallying allies. As Alara shared details about Elian's message and the history of Xylaris, she could see concern etched on her allies' faces. They understood all too well what was at stake: many had witnessed their own civilizations teetering on the brink of destruction due to internal strife or external threats. "We must call for an emergency summit," Zarathul suggested after listening intently. "All factions must come together to discuss our strategy moving forward." Ilara nodded in agreement. "Time is of the essence, we need every ship and every fighter ready for what lies ahead." As they finalized plans for the summit, Ilara felt a sense of hope rising within her. The strength found in unity could be their greatest weapon against whatever lay beyond. Preparing for battle. Days passed as preparations unfolded across various planets within their alliance. Ships were readied for battle, soldiers trained tirelessly while diplomats worked to secure support from hesitant factions. Ilara found herself immersed in logistics, coordinating resources and ensuring that every ally understood the gravity of their situation. During this time, she forged deeper connections with other leaders, sharing stories of resilience and determination that inspired everyone involved. One evening after a long day of meetings, Ilara stood on the observation deck of the Odyssey, gazing out at distant stars twinkling like diamonds against velvet darkness. "Captain," Marcus said softly as he joined her. "Do you think we can really unite everyone?" Ilara turned to him with conviction in her eyes. "If we can show them that this threat is real, that it doesn't discriminate based on species or ideology, then yes," she replied firmly. "Together we are stronger than apart." The summit. Finally, the day of the emergency summit arrived, a gathering unlike any other held before it. Leaders from various species filled the grand hall aboard their flagship, a massive vessel designed for diplomacy and strategy. Ilara stood at the forefront alongside Zarathul as they addressed representatives from multiple factions, each one bringing unique perspectives shaped by their own histories. "Today marks a turning point," Ilara began passionately as she looked out at those gathered before her, their expressions ranging from skepticism to hopefulness depending on past experiences influencing their views toward collaboration with others outside their own kind. "We stand on the brink of destruction if we do not act swiftly," Zarathul added gravely while emphasizing urgency behind every word spoken aloud within those hallowed walls, echoing around them like thunderclaps resonating deep inside each soul present here today yearning for change. As discussions unfolded, strategies were debated passionately while alliances were solidified amidst fervent exchanges between different cultures represented here today. It became clear that despite differences among them all, they shared one common goal: survival. A new era. As night fell over their gathering, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Hope blossomed amidst uncertainty, fueled by determination igniting flames within hearts eager for change. They were no longer just individual factions, they were united under one banner, a coalition forged through shared struggles aimed toward overcoming adversity together. With plans set into motion, the alliance prepared itself for what lay ahead, the dawn of a new era where cooperation would triumph over division. They would face whatever challenges awaited them beyond, stars shimmering brightly overhead guiding way forward into unknown realms, yet untold stories waiting patiently yearning be shared, inspiring countless others along journey ahead, illuminating paths leading toward brighter tomorrow, filled promise, adventure, excitement, endless exploration awaiting discovery just beyond horizon, beckoning all who dare venture forth. The stage was set for humanity's epic adventure, a journey marked by resilience and ingenuity where diverse species would come together against insurmountable odds, forging bonds stronger than any weapon ever created. Together they would rise up ready face whatever darkness loomed beyond, stars waiting patiently just beyond reach. The gathering storm. Dr. Malik Chen stood at the observation window of the Mars Research Station, gazing at the red planet's surface. The sun cast a warm glow over the rugged landscape, but inside, tension hung thick in the air. The recent discovery of ancient alien technology had ignited a frenzy among scientists, and Malik felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. As the lead xenobiologist, he was tasked with unraveling the secrets of this newfound treasure. The station buzzed with activity as researchers scurried about, their faces illuminated by the glow of holographic displays. Malik turned away from the window and walked toward his lab, where his team was busy analyzing samples from the alien ship. Each piece of technology they uncovered seemed to hint at a larger mystery, and Malik's curiosity was piqued. "Dr. Chen," called out Dr. Leena Patel, one of his most trusted colleagues. "You need to see this." Malik hurried over to her workstation, where a holographic projection displayed a series of intricate designs and symbols. "What have you found?" he asked, leaning closer. Leena pointed to a series of glyphs that pulsed with an otherworldly light. "These appear to be instructions for operating some sort of energy weapon. But look at this, there's a warning embedded in the code." Malik frowned as he studied the symbols. "What does it say?" "It warns of catastrophic consequences if misused," Leena replied, her voice tinged with concern. "We need to be careful with this technology. It could be more dangerous than we realize." Just then, an alarm blared through the station, cutting through their conversation like a knife. Red lights flashed ominously as an automated voice echoed over the intercom, "Security breach detected in Sector 4. All personnel report to designated safe zones immediately." Malik's heart raced as he exchanged worried glances with Leena and the rest of the team. "We need to secure our findings and get to safety," he said decisively. As they gathered their notes and equipment, Malik couldn't shake the feeling that their discovery had attracted unwanted attention. He led his team through the narrow corridors of the research station, adrenaline coursing through his veins. Once they reached the safe zone, Malik activated a communication device to contact Captain Alara Voss aboard the Odyssey. The screen flickered to life, revealing Alara's determined expression. "Dr. Chen, what's going on?" she asked urgently. "We've encountered a security breach," Malik replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "We believe it may be related to our recent discoveries. We need your help." Alara nodded gravely. "I'll dispatch a team to assist you. In the meantime, secure all data related to that alien technology." As they spoke, Malik noticed movement outside the reinforced glass walls of the safe zone. Shadows darted across the surface of Mars, and he felt a chill run down his spine. "Dr. Chen!" Leena exclaimed, pointing toward the window. "Look!" A group of armored figures emerged from behind a rock formation, a hostile faction that had been rumored to be tracking their activities for weeks. Malik's mind raced as he realized they were not just here for intimidation, they were after the alien technology. "We need to barricade this area," Malik ordered, rallying his team to push heavy equipment against the doors. As they worked quickly, Malik's thoughts drifted back to Alara's warning about cooperation among species in times of crisis. They needed allies now more than ever. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the safe zone as one of the armored figures breached their defenses. Panic surged among Malik's team as they prepared for confrontation. "Stay calm," Malik shouted over the chaos. "We can't let them take our research." The intruders stormed into the room, weapons drawn and eyes filled with determination. Malik stood firm at the front line, ready to defend his team and their discoveries. "Who are you?" one of the intruders barked, his voice masked by a helmet. "We are researchers. We mean no harm," Malik replied desperately. But before he could explain further, another intruder raised their weapon and aimed it directly at him. "Hand over everything you found about that alien technology," he demanded. Malik felt his heart race as he glanced at Leena and their colleagues behind him, fear etched on their faces. He knew they couldn't allow this hostile group access to their findings, it could spell disaster for all of humanity. In that moment of uncertainty, Malik recalled Alara's words about human ingenuity and resilience in times of crisis. He took a deep breath and stepped forward boldly. "If you want our research," he said firmly, "you'll have to go through us first." The intruders hesitated for just a moment, a flicker of surprise crossing their faces at Malik's unexpected bravery. It was enough time for Leena to grab an emergency flare gun from her belt. "Now," she shouted as she fired it toward the ceiling. A blinding flash filled the room, disorienting both sides momentarily. Seizing this opportunity, Malik motioned for his team to retreat toward an emergency exit located behind them. They dashed through the door just as chaos erupted behind them, the intruders scrambling in confusion from the sudden burst of light. Once outside, they found themselves in a narrow corridor leading deeper into the research station's underground levels. Malik led his team down several flights of stairs until they reached a secure chamber designed for emergencies. Inside, they quickly activated lockdown protocols and sealed off all entrances before taking a moment to catch their breath. "What now?" Lena asked breathlessly as she leaned against a wall. "We need to devise a plan," Malik replied thoughtfully as he paced back and forth in front of them. "We can't let them get their hands on that technology." He paused for a moment before continuing, "We should try reaching out for help again. Perhaps we can contact Zarathul on Xylar or even enlist support from other factions who oppose these intruders." Lena nodded in agreement while others murmured amongst themselves about potential allies that could aid them in this dire situation. Malik felt hope flicker within him despite their predicament. Humanity had faced challenges before and emerged victorious through collaboration and determination. As they began drafting messages for potential allies across galaxies, hoping someone would respond, they couldn't shake off an unsettling feeling that time was running out before those intruders would regroup and launch another attack on them. They were caught in what felt like an impending storm, a battle not just for survival but also for knowledge that could change everything about humanity's place among stars forevermore. With resolve building within him once again, Malik vowed silently that no matter what happened next, they would fight back with every ounce of ingenuity and strength they possessed because humanity's adventure was far from over, it had only just begun. Allies in unlikely places. The atmosphere on Xylar was thick with tension as Zarathul, the alien diplomat, prepared for a crucial meeting. The vibrant colors of her home planet, a kaleidoscope of blues, greens, and purples, contrasted sharply with the gravity of the situation. As she walked through the grand halls of the Diplomatic Council, she felt the weight of her mission pressing down on her. Zarathul was a member of the Xylarian Council, a body that represented various factions within her species. They had been known for their fierce independence and reluctance to ally with others, but the recent cosmic threat had forced them to reconsider their stance. The warning from Captain Alara Voss about an impending invasion loomed large in her mind. As she entered the council chamber, she was greeted by the murmurs of her fellow council members. They were a diverse group, each representing different interests and ideologies. Zarathul took her place at the center of the circular table, where holographic images of star maps flickered above them. "Zarathul, we are not here to discuss alliances," one elder member grumbled, his voice heavy with skepticism. "Our people have always thrived alone. Why should we risk our safety for others?" Zarathul felt a surge of frustration but remained composed. "Because if we do not unite against this threat, we risk losing everything we hold dear," she replied passionately. "The humans have discovered technology that could turn the tide in our favor. We must work together." Another council member, a younger and more progressive voice named Jorik, spoke up. "I believe Zarathul is right. We have seen what happens when we isolate ourselves. The galaxy is changing, and we must adapt." The elder shook his head dismissively. "And what if they betray us? We cannot trust outsiders so easily." Zarathul took a deep breath, trying to quell her rising anger. "Trust must be built through action," she said firmly. "We can send envoys to offer our assistance to the humans. If they succeed in their fight against this common enemy, we will all benefit." The council fell silent as they considered her words. Zarathul could see doubt etched on their faces, but she also sensed a flicker of hope among some members. "Let us vote," Jorik suggested, breaking the silence. "We can decide whether to reach out to the humans or continue on our current path." With that, a holographic display projected options for the council members to choose from: support alliance or maintain independence. Zarathul watched intently as votes began to appear above each member's head. After a tense few moments, the results flashed across the screen: Support Alliance, 7 votes, Maintain Independence, 3 votes. A wave of relief washed over Zarathul as she realized they had chosen to reach out for help. "Thank you," she said earnestly, looking around at her fellow council members. "Together, we can ensure our survival." As plans were made for sending envoys to contact Captain Alara Voss and Dr. Malakchen on Mars, Zarathul felt a renewed sense of purpose. She would lead this mission herself. It was time to forge a new path for her people. The journey begins. The next day, Zarathul and a small delegation boarded their sleek starship, the Celestial Dawn. The ship was equipped with advanced technology and weapon systems that would allow them to travel swiftly through space. As they launched into orbit around Xylar, Zarathul glanced back at her home planet one last time before setting course for Mars. She felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. This was uncharted territory for her people. "Prepare for hyperspace jump," she commanded her crew as they navigated through the stars. Moments later, they entered hyperspace, a swirling tunnel of light that propelled them toward their destination at unimaginable speeds. During the journey, Zarathul reflected on what lay ahead. She knew that gaining the trust of humanity would not be easy. They had their own struggles and conflicts. But she also believed in the strength that came from unity, something that transcended species and cultures. Arrival on Mars. When the Celestial Dawn finally emerged from hyperspace above Mars, Zarathul felt a rush of anticipation. The red planet stretched out below them like an arid desert landscape dotted with research stations and habitats. "Contact Dr. Malakchen's team," she instructed her communications officer. After a few moments of silence filled with static, a voice crackled through the speakers. "This is Dr. Malakchen's team on Mars." "Who is calling?" "This is Ambassador Zarathul from Xylar," she replied confidently. "We wish to discuss an alliance against the impending threat." There was a brief pause before Malak responded with cautious intrigue. "We were expecting your arrival. Please proceed to our coordinates." As they descended toward Mars' surface, Zarathul felt both exhilarated and nervous about meeting humanity face-to-face for the first time. Meeting humanity. Upon landing at the Mars research station, Zarathul stepped out onto Martian soil alongside her delegation. The air was thin and cold compared to Xylar's warm atmosphere, but she quickly adjusted. Dr. Malakchen awaited them outside with several members of his team, each one observing Zarathul with curiosity and caution. "Welcome," Malak said warmly as he extended his hand, a gesture that surprised Zarathul but also made her feel more at ease. "Thank you," she replied as they shook hands, a symbolic act that bridged their two worlds. As they walked toward the research facility together, Malak began explaining their recent discoveries related to ancient alien technology, the very same that had drawn unwanted attention from hostile factions. "We believe this technology holds incredible potential," he said earnestly. "But it also poses great risks if it falls into the wrong hands." Zarathul nodded in understanding. She had seen firsthand how power could corrupt even those with good intentions. "We must work together," she asserted as they entered the facility bustling with activity from scientists analyzing data and equipment. A common goal. Inside the lab, Malak led Zarathul and her delegation to a central holographic display showing star maps and data streams related to their findings. "This is where we believe our enemies are coming from," he explained as images flickered across the screen, depicting ships moving toward their solar system. Zarathul studied the maps intently. It was clear that time was running out before they would face an invasion. "We need your help in rallying support among other factions," Malak urged as he pointed out potential allies across various star systems. Zarathul felt determination swell within her. This was not just about saving their own species, it was about forging bonds that could reshape their future together. "We will reach out immediately," she promised Malak as plans began forming in her mind, strategies for uniting disparate factions against a common enemy. As discussions continued late into the night within those lab walls, two worlds began merging into one united front against darkness looming beyond stars, an alliance forged in necessity but strengthened by shared ideals of hope and resilience. The battle for survival. As the sun dipped below the horizon of Mars, casting an orange glow across the research station, Dr. Malik Chen and Ambassador Zarathul gathered their teams to strategize. The atmosphere was thick with urgency. They had little time before the hostile faction would strike again. Malik's mind raced as he considered their options, knowing that every decision could mean the difference between survival and annihilation. Zarathul stood at the head of the table, her presence commanding respect. "We must act quickly," she urged, her voice steady but firm. "Our enemies are not just after technology, they want to erase our existence. We need a plan that leverages both our strengths." Malik nodded, glancing at the holographic display that illuminated the room. It showed the star maps they had been studying, pinpointing the locations of enemy ships converging on Mars. "If we can disrupt their supply lines, we might buy ourselves some time," he suggested. "Agreed," Zarathul replied. "But we need to coordinate with other factions who are willing to join us. I can reach out to my contacts on Xylar and beyond." Malik's heart raced at the thought of uniting disparate species against a common foe. "Let's send out a distress signal to all potential allies," he said. "We need every ship and every fighter we can muster." Preparing for war. As they finalized their plans, Malik felt a sense of camaraderie building among their teams. Scientists and diplomats worked side by side, sharing ideas and strategies as if they had known each other for years. The tension that had initially hung over them began to dissipate, replaced by a shared determination. "Let's make sure our defenses are fortified," Malik instructed his team. "We need to prepare for an imminent attack." Zarathul turned to her delegation, her expression serious. "We must also train our forces in combat tactics," she added. "Many of my people are not warriors, but they will fight if necessary." Hours turned into days as both teams worked tirelessly to prepare for the battle ahead. They reinforced the research station's defenses with energy shields and automated turrets while also training volunteers from both species in basic combat skills. One evening, as Malik took a break from training exercises, he found himself reflecting on how far they had come since first meeting Zarathul. They were no longer just representatives of their respective species, they were allies fighting for their survival. The calm before the storm. As preparations continued, Malik received word that reinforcements were on their way. Ships from Xylar and other allied factions had responded to their call for help. He felt a surge of hope at the thought of standing together against their enemies. However, there was no time to celebrate, they needed to remain vigilant. The days passed quickly, filled with drills and simulations designed to prepare everyone for the inevitable confrontation. On the eve of what they anticipated would be a massive assault, Malik stood on the observation deck overlooking Mars' surface. The red planet seemed peaceful under the stars, but he knew that danger lurked just beyond the horizon. "Dr. Chen," Zarathul said softly as she joined him on the deck. "Are you ready for what lies ahead?" Malik turned to her, his expression serious yet resolute. "I have never been more ready in my life," he replied honestly. "We've come too far to turn back now. The invasion begins." The next morning brought an eerie silence that hung over the research station like a heavy fog. Everyone sensed that something was about to happen. It was only a matter of time before their enemies made their move. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility, shattering the stillness. "All personnel to battle stations," echoed through the intercom system as Malik rushed back inside. "Zarathul," he shouted as he reached her side in command central. "What's happening?" "Enemy ships have entered Mars orbit," she exclaimed, her eyes wide with urgency as she scanned data on her screen. The holographic display showed multiple enemy vessels descending toward them, dark silhouettes against the backdrop of space. "Prepare our defenses." Malik ordered as adrenaline surged through him. The first clash. As enemy ships unleashed barrages of energy blasts onto the research station's shields, Malik felt his heart race with fear and determination. He watched as automated turrets sprang to life, firing back at their attackers while soldiers from both human and Xylarian forces took positions around key areas. "Return fire," Zarathul commanded as she coordinated their response from Command Central. Malik joined a group of volunteers who manned one of the turrets outside, his hands steady as he aimed at incoming ships. The sound of explosions echoed around them as energy blasts collided with shields and debris flew through space. "Keep firing. We can't let them breach our defenses," Malik shouted over the din of battle. A glimmer of hope. Despite being outnumbered, there was an undeniable spirit among Malik's team and Zarathul's forces that fueled their fight against overwhelming odds. They fought valiantly together, humans and Xylarians side by side, each determined not to let fear dictate their actions. As enemy ships began falling from orbit under concentrated fire from both sides, Malik felt a glimmer of hope ignite within him. Perhaps they could hold off this invasion after all. "Reinforcements are arriving," one soldier shouted as several ships emerged from hyperspace, Xylarian vessels adorned with vibrant colors and symbols of unity. Zarathul smiled fiercely as she saw her people joining the fray alongside humans. "We are not alone," she declared triumphantly. Turning the tide. With renewed strength bolstering their ranks, Malik coordinated attacks with Zarathul's forces, targeting enemy ships with precision strikes that began turning the tide in their favor. But just when victory seemed within reach, a massive enemy flagship appeared on the horizon, a colossal vessel bristling with weapons that dwarfed everything else in sight. "This is bad," Malik muttered under his breath as he watched it approach ominously. "We need to focus our firepower on that ship," Zarathul shouted decisively. As they directed all available fire toward the flagship, it retaliated fiercely, energy beams slicing through space like deadly serpents while explosions rocked their defenses once more. A desperate gamble. Realizing they needed a bold plan to defeat this formidable foe, Malik turned to Zarathul with determination in his eyes. "We have to disable its weapon systems before it can destroy us." Zarathul nodded gravely but understood what was at stake. "It's risky, but if we coordinate an attack on its power core while distracting its defenses, we can do this," Malik said firmly. "Let's split our forces." With adrenaline coursing through them both, they quickly relayed commands to their respective teams. Some would engage in direct combat while others aimed for stealthier approaches toward infiltrating the flagship's interior. The final push. As chaos erupted around them, the sounds of battle ringing in their ears, Malik led a small team toward an access point on the flagship while Zarathul coordinated efforts above ground against overwhelming odds outside. Inside enemy territory, Malik felt fear creeping into his heart but pushed it aside. This was humanity's moment, a chance not just for survival but also for proving themselves worthy allies among other species across galaxies. They navigated dark corridors filled with enemy soldiers until finally reaching an access panel leading directly into engineering, the heart of this monstrous ship where power flowed like lifeblood through its veins. With quick precision, they hacked into systems controlling energy distribution, their goal clear: overload its core before it could retaliate effectively against allies outside, battling fiercely against overwhelming odds still looming above them outside. Unity in diversity. The dim lights of the enemy flagship flickered ominously as Malik and his team navigated the labyrinthine corridors, their hearts pounding with anticipation. They had one chance to disable the power core and turn the tide of battle in favor of humanity and their newfound allies. Each step echoed with the weight of their mission, a blend of fear and determination propelling them forward. Infiltrating the enemy ship. As they moved deeper into the ship, Malik's mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. The flagship was heavily fortified, and they had to be cautious. "Stay low and keep quiet," he whispered to his team, glancing back at them to ensure they understood the gravity of their situation. They were far from home, surrounded by enemies who would not hesitate to eliminate them. Suddenly, they heard footsteps approaching. Malik motioned for everyone to hide behind a bulkhead. Peering around the corner, he spotted a group of enemy soldiers patrolling the area. They were clad in dark armor, their weapons ready for action. Malik's heart raced as he realized how close they were to being discovered. "Wait for them to pass," he instructed his team, holding his breath as the soldiers drew nearer. The tension was palpable, every second felt like an eternity. Finally, after what seemed like ages, the soldiers moved on, and Malik exhaled slowly. Reaching engineering. Once it was clear, they continued toward engineering. The corridor opened up into a large chamber filled with machinery that hummed with energy. Malik's eyes widened as he took in the sight. The power core was at the center of the room, pulsating with a bright blue light. "This is it," he said, pointing toward the core. "We need to disable it before they can retaliate." As they approached, Malik noticed several control panels surrounding the core. "I'll need to access that panel," he said, gesturing toward one that looked crucial to their plan. "Cover me while I work." The team quickly spread out, taking positions behind various pieces of equipment to provide cover against any potential threats. Malik approached the panel and began typing furiously, trying to bypass security protocols. A race against time. Come on, Malik muttered under his breath as lines of code streamed across the screen. He could feel time slipping away, every second counted as explosions echoed outside the ship. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the chamber, an indication that their presence had been detected. Malik's heart sank as red lights flashed around him. "Malik! We've got company," shouted one of his teammates. Malik worked faster, adrenaline surging through him as he focused on disabling the core's defenses. "I just need a little more time," he yelled back. The sound of heavy footsteps grew louder as enemy soldiers rushed into the chamber, weapons raised and ready for combat. Malik quickly glanced at his team. They were prepared to fight but knew they had to prioritize their mission. "Get ready," he shouted as he finally accessed a critical function on the panel. "I'm about to overload the core." The core overload. With a few final keystrokes, Malik activated a sequence that would send a surge of energy through the core, enough to destabilize it but not enough to destroy themselves in the process. "Now," he yelled as he hit enter. The power core began to pulse erratically, lights flickering wildly as energy surged through its systems. The enemy soldiers hesitated for just a moment, confusion evident on their faces. "Fall back. We need to get out of here." Malik shouted urgently as he turned to run back toward his team. They sprinted toward an exit just as explosions erupted behind them. The power core had begun its overload sequence, sending shockwaves throughout the ship. Escaping the flagship. As they raced through corridors filled with chaos and destruction, Malik could hear alarms blaring and see flashes of light from explosions behind them. They were running against time. If they didn't escape soon, they would be caught in the blast. "Keep moving," he urged his team as they navigated through smoke-filled hallways and debris scattered everywhere. Finally reaching an exit hatch leading back outside onto one of the ship's docking bays, they burst through just as another explosion rocked the flagship behind them, sending debris flying in all directions. "We made it," one teammate exclaimed breathlessly as they stumbled onto solid ground. But there was no time for celebration. Enemy ships were still engaged in battle above them, firing upon their allies while chaos reigned supreme all around them. Rallying their forces. Malik quickly scanned for Zarathul's ship among those engaged in combat above, the celestial dawn darting between enemy vessels like a firefly amidst darkness, its crew fighting valiantly alongside human forces against overwhelming odds. "Zarathul! We need your help!" Malik shouted into his communicator, desperately hoping she could hear him over all noise surrounding them. "Dr. Chen. What's your status?" Zarathul's voice crackled through amidst static, a beacon of hope amidst chaos. The flagship is destabilizing. We need you to pull back your forces and prepare for an evacuation. Malik urged urgently while keeping an eye on incoming enemy ships still firing down at them from above. I'm on it. Hold tight. Zarathul replied before cutting off communication, her voice filled with determination that resonated deep within him despite dire circumstances surrounding them now threatening everything they had fought for thus far together. The final stand. As explosions continued rocking both sides, their allies desperately trying to hold ground against relentless waves of enemy attacks, Malik felt renewed determination surge within him. This was not just about survival anymore, it was about standing together against tyranny that threatened both species alike. He rallied his team once more, gathering everyone around him despite chaos swirling around them in every direction, his voice steady amidst turmoil surrounding them now threatening everything they had fought for thus far together. We have come too far to give up now. We are not alone. We fight for each other, for our homes, and we will not let this darkness consume us. The cheers erupted from those gathered around him, a unified front rising up against impending doom threatening everything they held dear. A new dawn. With renewed strength coursing through their veins, their combined forces now standing united against overwhelming odds, they began pushing back against enemy attacks while coordinating efforts with Zarathul's ship above, engaging in tactical maneuvers designed specifically for this moment. As explosions erupted around them, their allies fought valiantly alongside humans against overwhelming odds, each moment filled with bravery that resonated deep within every soul present here today. And just when it seemed all hope might be lost, a brilliant flash illuminated space above them, a sign that Zarathul had successfully rallied reinforcements from Xylar and beyond. I can see our allies approaching, one soldier shouted excitedly pointing upward toward incoming ships joining battle. With renewed hope igniting within every heart present here today, they knew this was only beginning, the dawn of a new era where unity would triumph over division, and together they would forge ahead into whatever lay beyond stars waiting patiently just beyond reach. The journey ahead. As darkness faded away into light, a new chapter began unfolding before their eyes, a testament not only resilience but also strength found within diversity itself, and together humanity along with their newfound allies would rise up stronger than ever before ready face whatever challenges awaited them ahead. This was only beginning, the first steps taken toward forging bonds that would shape future generations across galaxies uniting under banner hope where curiosity would flourish endlessly illuminating pathways leading toward brighter tomorrow waiting patiently just beyond reach. Conclusion. With victory within grasp, the battle may have been won, but war was far from over, challenges lay ahead, but united together, they would face whatever came next head-on ready forge ahead into uncharted territories exploring endless possibilities awaiting discovery beyond stars shimmering brightly overhead guiding way forward into unknown realms yet untold stories waiting patiently yearning be shared inspiring countless others along journey ahead illuminating paths leading toward brighter tomorrow. Filled promise adventure excitement endless exploration awaiting discovery just beyond horizon beckoning all who dare venture forth.